Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is just going to be my brow routine finally. So yeah, if you guys want to see how I achieve my brows, then just keep watching. So whenever I do my brows, I always start with my foundation first and then I do my brows, just because I really like the base that the foundation provides for the brow products to go on top of. I feel like they stick a little bit better and they last a lot longer. So I just take the little spoolie and I'll just run it through my brows, just so everything is brushed out. Plus it just brushes all my little brow hairs into place. And at the fronts of my brows I brush upwards and then I just brush acrossways. I don't freaking know. So then I always go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow pomade in the shade Blonde. Basically what I do is just take a little chunk of the Dipbrow, take it on my brush, and then I will swipe it back and forth in the lid just to get like a nice point on my brush. And when the brush is nice and tapered, that's when I go in and start doing little hair-like strokes on my brows. So I usually just start from the underneath of the brow and I will just start by swiping little hair-like strokes anywhere that like has little gaps and stuff like that, and I will just slightly sort of run that through my brows. So what we're doing here is just creating little fake hairs, making them look a little bit more full but keeping them looking as natural as possible. And then I'll just go up to the top of the brow with anything that's left over on my brush and just start swiping that in. So then for the tail of the brow, I dip back into my Dipbrow and just do the exact same thing as before. Basically I follow the exact shape that my eyebrows naturally are. I don't like to change the shape too much just because that's when I feel it starts to look a little bit unnatural on me. I use a pretty light hand as well, and if it gets a little bit messy like that, I'll just take the end of the spoolie and lightly brush it. And right here I have a little bit that sort of dips in, so I always take a little bit more product and just sort of push it into that area. And then when I feel like I have enough product on there, and I kind of have it how I want the brow to look roughly, I'll just take the spoolie and just go back in and give the hairs a little bit of a brush through. Okay, so now that I have like the foundation of my brows down, and kind of like the shape that I want, etc. I now go in with the Taupe Dipbrow and I basically just do the exact same thing, just dipping into the product and then brushing it off into the lid. I do clean these lids out, by the way. I do it like once a week. Yeah, I just take that same brush. I don't bother to wipe off any of the product because I just don't see the point in it, and then I will just taper it off like I did it the first time. And then this time, instead of brushing the product all over my entire brow, like all over all of the brow hairs, I will just focus this on the tail of the brow and drawing pretty sparse and sporadic hair-like strokes throughout the brow, if that makes sense. So I start at the tail and I just kind of focus on the areas that there aren't any brow hairs, because this Taupe Dipbrow is a little bit closer to the natural colour of my eyebrows. So then at the top of the brow here, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but there is pretty sparse hair right here. Most of my hair is like just in the middle of the brow and like this weird line. I don't really know what's happening. But just in this bit, I'm just going to fill in some little hair strokes. So see, that just makes such a difference. And then what I do is I just look for any other areas that look like they're a little bit sparse and need a little bit of my magic touch. And I take a little bit in the front, not too much. So I'm pretty happy with that brow at the moment. It's pretty messy, but don't worry, we're going to fix it up. I'm just going to go in with my little spoolie, give it another little light brush through. I only do this really lightly because I don't want to brush out the little hair strokes that we've created. I just kind of want to blend them together slightly, if that makes sense, but I don't want to completely mesh them into one and just make it like a shadow. I then go in with a brow gel or some kind of product to set my brows. It doesn't really matter too much to me what I use on them. At the moment I've just been using this Tint My Brow by Australis. I believe this is in their lightest shade that this comes in. I think it's medium brown or brown or something. I know there's a really dark one and there's a lighter one. I have the lighter one. So all I do with this is start at the front of my brow and I'll just brush the brow hairs up, and then I will just work my way along and brush the hairs into place where I want them. And I'll usually just let that dry a little bit and then go in with another coat just lightly. Alright, so as you can see, this bit at the front of the brow is a little bit messy. So what I do to clean up any mess and stuff like that is I go in with my little spoolie brush and I'll just brush it along the top of my brow or anywhere that there's like a little bit of craziness happening. and I just lightly brush it into the shape that I want. I don't really like how this bit dips, so I'm going to just add some little hairs there. What I do now is I go in with a concealer, and today I'm using the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Porcelain. I like to do this right underneath the brows to highlight and sort of sculpt everything and make it more defined. I feel like it just completely cleans up the brows and makes them look just so flakish, you guys don't even know. So all I do is take the applicator of this concealer and I just run it underneath my brow, and then what I do is I start lining it right underneath my brow, if you guys can see what I'm doing. And I do this pretty carefully. You don't really want to get the concealer into your brow hairs because it'll just ruin all the work we just did. I then go in with my little fingers and I just gently pat out the remainder of that concealer. Alright, so there we go, we've got a pretty highlighted arch going on there. I then take whatever concealer is left over on my brush and I use that to shape the rest of the brow. Alright, and just for today, just because I am going to be finishing off my makeup and I'll fix it all up later, I'm just going to take this really light concealer on the top of my brows as well, and then I'm just gonna suss out some areas that I'm not happy with, and voila, that is it. So there you guys have it for my little brow routine. So that's it for my brow routine, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!